Yeah. Yeah, I think the whole Bjorn was just a conflict at the top. I think the one thing I will tell you about Bjorn is Bjorn was probably one of the hardest working guys I've ever met in my life. I remember when I was already doing commentary, I was still doing some other work for Bjorn. We were still like company wise, right? Early on. And I remember getting an email from him, and I think we were either in Monroe, Louisiana, or we were in Uncasville, Connecticut. And it was like maybe a 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning email the second day we were there. So it was a couple days before the event. And I replied to the email. And then Bjorn immediately responded to me via text and was like, dude, what are you doing up? And I was like, what are you doing up? Like we were, he was still talking, he was still working. Um, I think that once it got to the corporate Viacom Spike TV executives, that kind of work was like probably a little bit abrasive to them. So there was a lot of like just clashing when it came to that. The way Bjorn, because Bjorn was running people pretty ragged. But again, like he was never a guy that was asking people to do work that he wasn't willing to do himself. If he was sending you an email or if he was calling you, he was up working. But that's not the corporate structure, right? When you're talking about a big giant company like Viacom or Spike TV. So I think it had more to do with that than it had to do with where the company was.
Do you think Bellator could have kept going if they had kept him around?
I mean, yeah. I mean, and it did keep going. I mean, I think the initial switch over to the Coker Kogan era did have a bump when it came to ratings. Um, but I also think that Bjorn was a bit more frugal than Scott, and uh, and I think even though they had the Viacom, backing, I think that you still needed to, you needed to sell tickets and you needed to get ratings. And if one of these things aren't happening, and that's your business model, then you're going to struggle. And
Yeah, I
also,
felt like
as you grow as a company, as your fighters get more experience, you're paying a lot more money, right? Like you can't pay a guy that you paid, 2 years ago the same amount.
yeah, I was telling